It is my pleasure today to bring you, to introduce a gentleman that I think you're going to find very inspirational if his luncheon table conversation was any indication. I am going to introduce today's keynote speaker. He is Gregg Steinhafel. He is President and Chairman, President, and CEO of Target Corporation. He was named president of Target in 1999 after 20 years with the company, where he held a number of positions in merchandising and operations. Gregg Steinhafel has been instrumental in developing and promoting Target's unique corporate culture, and we don't use the word unique lightly. This is one of a kind. He has sustained the company's legacy of giving and service. You know, since 1946, Target Corporation has given 5% of its income to nonprofit organizations that support the communities where Target does business. And today, that giving, that 5% of its income, amounts to more than $4 million a week that Target gives. In 2012, an institute called Ethisphere ranked Target as one of the world's most ethical companies for the 6th year in a row, and Forbes magazine and the Reputation Institute named Target one of the world's most reputable companies. Please join me in welcoming its CEO and Chairman, Gregg Steinhafel.
Thanks, Cyndy. I'm up here representing Target, but as you know, it's anything great, and Target's a great company. It takes a village to do what we do every day, and I'm lucky and so appreciative of the fact that we have such an amazing team spread throughout the globe that does such an amazing job focusing on guests every day. So, with that, I will jump into my formally prepared remarks here. I want to thank the Center for Ethical Business Cultures and the MBEA for inviting me here to speak today. I appreciate the opportunity to share Target's philosophy as it relates to ethics and integrity in business. We don't at Target talk a lot about ethics externally. Target has traditionally been an action speaks louder than words kind of company, and we still are today. We do, however, strive to make our actions exemplary, and that requires a deliberate approach, continuous discipline, and a steadfast cultural commitment to ethical practices throughout the company. Those of you who have been in business in Minneapolis for a while will no doubt hear the echoes of the Dayton-Hudson Corporation here. Dayton-Hudson already had a well-defined culture of integrity when I joined the corporation in 1979. And our team has continued to be a steward of that philosophy as Target has grown, from 80 stores in 11 states when I started to 1,832 stores in the US and Canada today. It's an orientation that was and is very much in the Midwestern tradition, in line with the Minnesota principles on which business ethics awards are based. Today, that orientation serves us exceedingly well as our business continues to grow in an era characterized by corporate distrust, some of it well-deserved and impropriety. We remain a missions-driven company, deeply committed to our core values, which include doing business in a fast, fun, and friendly manner, fostering an inclusive culture, and pursuing leadership excellence. Within our culture, there's a strong connection between following our values and doing what's right. We know that to best serve our 4 key stakeholder groups over time, our guests, team members, shareholders, and communities, we must innovate continuously and execute with discipline day after day and year after year. To us, ethics is integral to disciplined execution. We want to win, but we also want to win the right way. You've undoubtedly heard about the factory fires in Bangladesh and the building collapse 3 weeks ago that claimed more than 1,100 lives. Target had no production in that factory and has been very deliberate over the past several years in consolidating our vendors and reducing the number of Bangladesh factories we use by more than 50%, so our footprint there is very, very small. We've also expanded our auditing processes, requiring Target auditors to spend additional time in each factory, working with management and workers, confirming adequate training and grievance programs, and safety checking fire exits, stairwells, and electrical work. We're committed to creating and maintaining a safe business environment in Bangladesh because it's the second largest garment producer in the world and offers us high quality apparel at a very low price. But that price cannot come at the expense of social responsibility and worker safety, whether it's in Bangladesh or anywhere else across the globe where we conduct business. So how do you consistently perpetuate an ethical standard with a huge team approaching 375,000 individuals distributed widely across the United States, Canada, India, and 30-plus global sourcing locations? Well, the answer is we live it, embrace it, measure our performance against it, and continuously refine our approach as our business grows and changes. It's important to set rules and enforce them, but we believe a culture of integrity is best supported by lived example and modeling, and our entire board and senior leadership team are aligned and actively engaged. In other words, we strive every day to walk the talk and maintain the right tone at the top. My parents always said, make sure you're absolutely rock solid in your core values, your integrity, how you live your life, and treat others. They taught me that one's personal brand and reputation are far more important than anything you accomplish. And this is an attitude that's embraced and reinforced by Target senior management. We know that individually and as a group, we should trust our instincts and experiences in doing what's right. But we also know that this can't just be left to instincts and good intentions. Our executive committee has the structural and institutional practices and pillars it needs to stay on track and effectively lead Target's culture of integrity. Our Chief Compliance Officer, Ann Scoville, meets with us throughout the year on compliance and ethics topics. Our board plays a vital role, with our audit committees overseeing corporate compliance and ethics, and our Corporate Responsibility Committee tracking our progress on our corporate social responsibility commitments. The board and those committees are comprised of independent members, which is in keeping with the governance structure the Dayton's initiated. Also, we communicate with and listen to professionals on our team in law, compliance, labor relations, and the other functional areas represented at this event. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our team here today for the foundational, if not always visible, role you play in Target's performance. I'd also like to recognize more broadly the contributions everyone in this room makes to Minnesota ethical business environment, and give a special nod to today's award winners whom we'll hear about shortly. As critical as it is to strike the right tone at the top, we know that a small group of key executives cannot enforce these principles and practices alone. The organization must actively embrace high standards. That's why we focus on hiring the right people at every level. Communicating ethical behaviors throughout our organization, and reinforcing our expectations through well-designed training modules, clear policies, and visible reminders of the importance of operating with ethics and integrity. If you've ever been to our downtown headquarters, chances are you've passed through Target Hall. It's a bustling collaboration space where at any given time, hundreds of Target team members are meeting, working, or just passing through. And on the most visible wall in that space, you'll see our vision, mission, and values, which are also front and center on our company-wide strategic roadmap that spells out our enterprise priorities and initiatives for the year. We all set personal goals tied directly to that roadmap, and within it, compliance, corporate social responsibility, and volunteerism are clearly listed among our critical day-to-day business drivers. To help us translate these strategic principles into everyday behaviors in our workplace, we have our Business Conduct Guide. It clearly states that behaving ethically and with integrity is critical to maintaining our reputation with all of our stakeholders. It's a public document available on our website for all to see how we're guiding our team on a range of issues, from product quality assurance to clarity and accuracy in marketing to global anti-bribery policies and avoiding insider trading. We believe clear rules of the road are essential, not just for Target's overall performance, but for team members to succeed at our company. I believe Target excels at developing well-rounded leaders. In fact, it's one of our main business strengths and critical to our competitive advantage. Ethical conduct is a core part of our leadership program because we're ironclad in our expectation that Target leaders act with integrity. Because we know what gets measured gets done, we hold our team members accountable for their actions. But we also ask them to hold us accountable and to evaluate our culture on ethical grounds. Every year, as part of our company-wide team member survey, we ask our team to tell us, with complete anonymity, confidentiality, and candor, whether, in their opinion, senior management has a high level of business integrity, whether they feel pressure to compromise their personal ethics to achieve business results, whether they know how to report suspected unethical behavior, and whether they feel they can do so without fear of retaliation. At regular intervals, we also survey guests, vendors, job candidates, retirees, and community influencers to better understand their perception of Target. And we use their input to drive business decisions and test whether our ethical approach is transparent to our stakeholders. But how do we know year after year whether our ethics, compliance, and corporate social responsibility programs are responsive, rigorous, and resonating? Sometimes it seems that ethics only gets noticed when they're exercised against self-interest, like when the Spanish distance runner became a social media sensation for purposely losing a race instead of exploiting a competitor's mistake in passing him by at the finish line. Fortunately, we found that being ethical is completely compatible with winning. It's actually one of the reasons we do win. We saw this recently in an evaluation of our brand equity, a periodic measure of our brand health. Guests clearly recognized positive community impact and responsible business practices as competitive differentiators for Target. Increasingly, we're seeking third-party perspectives and shared best practices, which is one reason we appreciate our association with the CEBC. We've also sought external evaluation by Ethisphere Institute, which has reviewed our program and named Target one of the world's most ethical companies for each of the 7 years the designation has been made. We were proud to join several of our Minnesota colleagues, including Ecolab, H.B. Fuller, and Mosaic, in the most recent Ethisphere list just released this past March. And we see tremendous value in ongoing dialogue with other companies as we continuously improve our business and the ethical environment in which we all operate. There are hundreds or even thousands of everyday actions at Target that I could point to as expressions of ethics. But occasionally, like during a big expansion or some other significant event, you see the strategic implications of your approach with fresh eyes. We experienced this recently as we prepared for our market entry into Canada. I recall someone saying, even before we announced our real estate transaction in 2011, that Canada is no place to expand if you're not absolutely committed to strong ethical business practices. And I remember thinking, that's another reason Target will be a good fit for Canada. From the beginning, we believed that Canada would be right for Target and vice versa. And we came to that conclusion based not just on the growth and the return on investment opportunities we saw, but on a sense of compatibility with how we do business. Target is a company that sweats the details, and we approached our Canadian entry with a great sense of humility, a strong desire to learn as much as we could, and an eagerness to do things right. We invested heavily to understand a substantial number of federal and provincial statutes and regulations, governing everything from product recalls to advertising to French language requirements in Quebec. So we knew right away that ethics and compliance would be a cornerstone of our expansion strategy long before we opened a store. Each regulatory requirement was tied directly to one of our many business compliance plans, complete with processes, training, and top-level executive sponsors. We focused on fostering accountability at every level of Target Canada, from our headquarters to our field offices to our stores. We were determined to do more than simply get by. That's one reason why we're aiming for LEED certification of all of the stores we're building in Canada this year. That would make us the first large discount retailer anywhere to hit 100% certification on this volume of locations across a single country. Now, in some regards, the regulatory environment in Canada is more challenging than in the United States, but it's also more collaborative. That's why we convened a meeting with Health Canada, the country's health department, shortly after we opened our headquarters near Toronto, so we could fully understand what's required of us and start building strong, candid relationships for the future. And that's why we're seeking the input of government agencies in Quebec to create a culturally relevant and compelling shopping experience where we open our stores there later this year. As our approach across North America and our global location suggests, Target remains steadfast in our commitment to winning the ethical way. We work to understand all the varied perspectives in the environment so we can continue to make responsible choices for our business and stakeholders. We're competing in a dynamic and rapidly changing industry where nothing remains static except our adherence to high standards for guest engagement, team conduct, shareholder returns, and community commitment. Ethics are and always have been integral to the standards we set. And I appreciate this opportunity to share our expectations with you on a day when ethics are being celebrated. Thank you.